Okay, good morning, everybody, and another round of coffee and questions. And this is kind of a repeat in a way. The other day, I discussed a way you can make a mobile bench or a mobile table, for a drill press. And so, you had this big, large working area, and then you mounted your drill press to this mobile table. And I went through how to make it, the casters, the height, the width, all this stuff. And then somebody turned around and posted a thing and asked me, well, what if I just wanted to make one for a standing drill press and not so much like, a benchtop one, if it's a standing one? Well, it's kind of the same thing, but I thought I'd go ahead and I would do a video and show you it's even easier if all you want to do is create like a mobile platform for, a large drill press or a floor standing drill press. So we're going to go ahead and have a discussion about that. I'm going to show you what materials and how I've done it in the past. And yes, you can make them out of wood. So the first part of this, I'm going to throw up some pictures of ones that people made out of wood, and I've made them out of wood. I prefer making it out of a metal frame, and then if you want to put a wood platform, that's fine. But let me throw up some pictures. We'll get right after this like we always do, no long intros. Let's get right to the project. Let's start discussing it. I'm going to start off with the wood ones first. Give me a sec just to change the picture. Okay, now here's one somebody made out of either 2x4s or something similar. It's a fast, easy project if you don't have a way to weld. I would tell you just pause the video, make some notes. He put locking casters, these wheels on here. That's a good idea. It doesn't move around on you while you're using it. And he's got it boxed in by putting those 2x4s across the top, the ones that go to the wheels. So, this was quick, simple, easy to do with 2x4s and bolts. So let me change the picture and I'll show you another one that somebody's made. Okay, here's a picture of another one, again, made out of wood. Not the way that I would have done it, but it is a simple, easy project. He used screws. He used these bolt casters. You can get them out at Harbor Freight. You can pretty much find them anywhere. And this was a fast, easy way, for him to create this mobile platform. Okay, let's move on. Okay, now the first thing you want to do is you want to get your materials together. Now, angle iron is easy to come by, or if you have to buy it from a steel supplier, it's going to be the cheaper way to go. So you can use all angle iron. What I do is I go out and I ask them where their cutoffs are and their scrap. Sometimes they try to sell you those lengths, still at the same, price, but it's going to be cheaper because it's in shorter lengths. So I always look in their cutoff pile. I get something similar to what you see here in the picture. The casters, I use much better casters. Harbor Freight even sells, a higher end caster. So go out and get yourself some good, casters for the bottom of it. You don't want the cheapies, okay? So I get them with wide wheels. They glide across the concrete floor of my shop much easier. But let's say that you have some angle iron laying around and you've got the tube steel or you've got all angle iron. You have to figure out what materials that you have, and then you're going to measure the base of that drill press. You're going to measure the length, you're going to measure the width, and you can even sketch this out on the ground on concrete with a piece of chalk, or one of those welding, wax pens or something, and it's easy to get off of the floor. So you can always, put your square design on the floor so you get an idea visually of what you're going to do. That's one way. You can also do it up on a steel bench welding table if that's what you have. So get your materials together first. These are 4 pieces of steel, okay? So whatever 4 pieces that you want, and get your casters, okay? So let me change the picture and we'll talk about what you're gonna do next. Okay, now this is a picture I pulled off of the web, but he makes his the same way that I've made mine. So I take those 2 pieces of tube steel, and you're gonna run them just like you did here in the picture. Now he has it on kind of like a horse, and he's got it, with these C-clamps. He's got it clamped down good and tight, probably because he was welding it here. Now you can do this on the table or even on the ground, but what you want to do is you want to make sure you square this thing up. So use a square, make sure your corners are all square, or use those magnets that I showed you in the previous video that you get out at Harbor Freight, because it'll hold these 90-degree angles. So what you're going to do is you're going to lay it out on the floor, and that's what I did the first time that I did this. I laid it out on the floor, I squared it all up, I put little tack welds, but I kept checking this internal measurement over and over to make sure that it doesn't move on you, that things stay square, that that drill press is going to set right down into here when you're done. So, and you don't want like a lot of slop. Now I made mine where it fit pretty snug right down into here. Show you why in a second. But I like the tube steel, but look, if you can't get tube steel, you can still use angle iron in place of where this tube steel is. Now, once I have it, laid out, I take the pieces off. I use my 4.5-inch angle grinder with a sanding flap disc, and I clean up everywhere that I'm going to weld. It's kind of like weld prepping. And then I go ahead and I put the pieces back on the ground. I put everything together. I square it all up. I do my tack welds first. I recheck all my squareness. I recheck all my measurements. And then, like in the picture, I go ahead and I complete my welds all the way around it. Then you can release these clamps if you've clamped it to something. It's like I said, I did it on the floor. I use those Harbor Freight, heavy duty magnets. It held everything perfectly fine. After the tack welds, I just flipped it up onto the table and my welding table, and I finished out all of my welds all the way around it. Yeah, I hit it with a wire brush or whatever you want. And now I've got this frame. So now what are we going to do next? Hang on just a sec. Okay, now you can freeze this if you want to sketch it out on a piece of paper, before you go make yours. Now, this is the way that it's going to turn out when you're done. Now, the only difference between the one in the picture that I took off of the web and mine, I've made larger casters on here. What I mean by larger is I like the fatter wheels. They're made out of a polyethylene type material, and they're much wider and they glide much easier. Now, these are a cheap wheel. Now, you really don't need any high-end wheels if you don't want to. It's not going to hold that enormous amount of weight on it. It's a drill press, but it's got some weight to it. You can get by with these, and you'll see that these even have the little locking mechanism on the side down here, on the wheel, to hold it in place. Okay, but take a look at it. Now, this is a point where, okay, if you want to paint it, paint it. But if you're going to do that, I would encourage you want to wipe and scrub this thing. You could use a 3M pad or something. Wipe it down really well and clean it, especially with acetone. And this will get it ready for painting because you'll get good adhesion from the painting. Now, somebody put up a question, oh, you always do your stuff with primer first, and then you coat it with whatever color you want. Well, on larger projects, yes, I do. On something like this, no, I probably wouldn't. I would probably go ahead and just shoot this with just black gloss and call it done. Now, I use Rust-Oleum. You can use Krylon or whatever you can get your hands on. That's fine. But take a close look at this. This will show you the design that I do. It's fast, it's easy to do, and it serves the purpose. Now, you can make them a lot more elaborate than this. I'm just showing you pictures to give you ideas. You can do web searches. You can come up with much more complicated designs. I don't see the point in it. What it is for me, it's a mobile base for a drill press. I like everything mobile. I don't have like a huge shop. I've got a garage, so I like to be able to move things around and make them comfortable when I'm working on a project, and then you can keep redesigning your shop. All right, let me change a picture and we'll go to questions. Okay, I kind of exploded this more than I should have to take up all the space on the screen, but you'll see and you'll get the idea down here. This is the finished product, and this is a nice little base, and there's the drill press. And you can just push this thing all around. However you want to. You can move it from one corner to the other. That's what makes these mobile bases nice. Okay, questions. Why do I always talk about making things out of metal, I guess is what you're asking. Well, I showed you in the beginning you can do it out of wood if you want to. It's just my preference. I'm not telling you one's better than the other. If you don't have a way to weld and you don't have a way to do some of the stuff that I'm talking about, I threw up the pictures of how you can make, a wooden mobile base if you want to. Just freeze frame those, sketch it out, go down and get yourself some 2x4s. They're very cheap. Get yourself carriage bolts or any kind of bolts you want. You can make the same platform. I just didn't spend a lot of time on it because my preference, like I said, is to make them out of steel. No, your question relates to putting the casters on. If you take a look in the picture down here, the reason why I like, the hollow rectangular steel is I can drill in just on one side like he did. I can put the caster in there. I can reach in. I can put a bolt on there and tighten it down. Now, if you're going to go the other route, if you're just going to use angle iron, or you're going to use some other kind of steel, yes, you can go all the way through it if you want to and put the bolts in on the top. The design part of this is yours. It's just that there are cutoffs. There's lots of rectangular cutoffs in steel out at the supply place that I go to. And for me, I like it because, you can change out these wheels if you had to real easy just by reaching in there with a wrench. And, you can just take them off fast. I don't have a particular reason for wanting to do it that way. It's just the way I like doing it. It's fast and easy. I can drill these holes like on a drill press real quickly. But you can design it however you want. Like I said, this is just to give you ideas. Yeah, you can add, the question is, can you add a base to this? Well, it doesn't show it because the drill press is sitting down on that angle iron. So no, you don't have to, but you could drop a piece of like 3/4 inch plywood or even 1/2 inch. It doesn't matter because the sides of the angle iron are going to support it anyway. But yeah, you could do that if you wanted to. It's not a bad idea. It just, in one way, isn't necessary. I mean, you can make it just this simple. Now, the other question is, well, I made a note, you can make money off of these. Okay, I take pictures of everything that I do, and I keep them on my cell phone. And when I'm at work or around, I mean, I'm not going to get rich off of it. I show it around to friends. And I've made a couple of these additionally, and then I've sold them. And it's fast. They're easy to do. Like I said, you're not spending a lot of money on steel. People will really enjoy it if you do it for them because now they've got a mobile base for their drill press. Could be a saw, it could be a grinder. I don't know. You can use the same concept and idea. You do it the same way. Just make sure you take pictures, show them around. You make a little extra money. It fuels your hobby. Okay, not a lot of questions. I'm the Home Handyman. I hope you click subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and keep following me. I will see you folks on the next video. Have a good day. Bye-bye.